Unit 2, Section 10.2 Worked Examples. Determine the simple interest. The rate is an annual rate. Assume 360 days in a year. The principal is $562.45, interest rate 5.6%, and the time is 71 days. The formula we're going to use is I equals PRT. The principal is $562.45. The interest rate is going to be 5.6 divided by 100 to give 0.056. And the time is going to be 71 divided by 360. And the formula that we use is shown here. So in my calculator, I'm going to start with the fractional part first. So I'm going to take the 71 and I'm going to divide by the 360. And then I'm going to multiply by the principal, 562.45, and then multiply by the interest rate. And so I come up with $6.21 is the interest. Simple interest for this problem. Oh. So $6.21. Use the simple interest formula to determine the missing value, and the missing value this time is the interest rate. Same formula, I equals PRT. We have the principal at $575, we have the time at 2 years, and we know the interest paid was $44.10. So same formula. I'm going to go ahead and simplify the right side of the formula, multiply 2 times 1575 to get this formula right here. And then I'm going to solve for R, and that gives me the formula shown below. And so in my calculator, I'm going to go ahead and do that division. Let me make the calculator a little smaller so you can see it. So I'm going to take $44.10, and I'm going to divide by 3150. And so it gives me 0.014, which tells me that the interest rate is 1.4%. Because again, remember, I multiply the decimal by 100 to get the equivalent percent. A man borrowed $3,900 from a bank for 6 months. A friend was a co-signer of the man's personal note. The bank collected 3.5% simple interest on the date of maturity. How much did the man pay for the use of the money, and then determine the amount he repaid to the bank on the due date of the note? I equals PRT. The amount he borrowed was $3,900. Interest rate 3.5%. We convert that to 3.5 divided by 100 gives us 0.035, and the time is 6/12. So in my calculator, I'm going to go ahead and again, I'll start with that fraction. And I could have simplified that fraction. The 6/12 is the same thing as 1/2. And then I'm going to multiply that by the interest rate, 0.035, and then finally multiply by the amount that he borrowed, which was $3,900. And so the interest that he pays is $68.25. And then the total amount he's going to have to pay back to the bank at the end of the time period is going to be the interest plus the amount he borrowed, which was $3,900. So he'll pay back $39.6825. So again, his interest was $68.25. Sorry, try that again. $68.25 is the interest, and the amount paid back is $39.6825. We add the interest to the amount borrowed to get the total amount that he must repay at the end of the time period. Joe borrowed $47.50 for 8 months from a bank. The bank discounted the loan at 3.5%. How much interest did Joe pay to the bank for the use of the money? So we use the same formula, I equals PRT, and I've went ahead and put the numbers into the formula. And let's go ahead on our calculator, and again, we'll start with the fraction part. So we're going to take the 8 and divide by 12. And then I'm going to multiply by the interest rate. And then I'm going to multiply by the amount she borrowed, which was $47.50. And so the amount of interest she paid was $110.83. 110.83. How much did Joe receive from the bank? So in order to find out how much was received from the bank, we're going to take the amount that was borrowed, because remember this is a discount note, and on a discount note they subtract the interest up front. So we're going to take the $47.50 and subtract that prepaid, we basically call that prepaid interest. So I'm going to take $47.50 and I'm going to subtract the 110.83, and there's how much was actually borrowed, $46.39.17. And I'm going to be using that in part C in order to calculate what the actual interest rate was, because remember she's actually paying more interest than stated because they don't actually give her the total amount when she goes to the bank to pick up the loan. So we're going to go ahead and in our formula, like we did in a prior problem, we're going to be solving here for R. And again, I went ahead and simplified and solved for R, and so the last step I'm going to do is that division there, and I'm going to take 110.83 and I'm going to divide by 3092.78, and I get an actual interest rate of 3.58% instead of the stated, so 3.58%. So a little bit higher than the actual stated rate of 3.5%. So in a discount note, the actual rate paid is going to be slightly higher than what was stated because the interest is paid up front and you don't actually get as much money as you would if you were paying the interest at the end. Determine the exact time from the first date to the second date, and this time we're going to assume that the year is not a leap year. So this is going from one date until a date in the following year. So the first thing we have to do is figure out the number of the days in the current year. So I find August 17th, and that's right here, 229 days, and I know there's 365 days in the year, so I'm going to go ahead and find out how many days it is from that date to the end of the year. So I'm going to take 365 and I'm going to subtract 229. 365 and subtract 229. And so that's 136 days until the end of the year. So I've got 136 so far. And then I need to go into the year and then find the date for May 13th, which is 133. And I'm going to add those two together. And so there are 269 days between those two dates. And the last example is a little bit different because we notice that this is a leap year, and we're actually going to figure out a due date for a loan, and we're going from November 25th. So I'm going to scroll down here and find November 25th, which is right here, and I'm going to find out how many days it is from then until the end of the year on a leap year. So that's 366 days. So I'm going to take 366 and I'm going to subtract 329. So 366 minus 320. All right, let's start this again. I made a mistake there. Let's start again. 366 minus 329. So that gives me 37 days. So I've got 37 days until the end of the year, and I want to go to 180 days, so I'm going to take 180 days and subtract 37 days to find out how many days I need to go into the new year. I'm going to take 180 and subtract the 37, and so I need to go 143 days into the new year. And if I look on my chart here, 143 days is going to be right here at May. Sorry, let's use my eraser and try to get this a little bit neater. It's going to be May 23rd.